What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here. Today is Top Game Thursday, and this week we are counting down the top 5 worst microtransactions in video games. Games like Hearthstone or League of Legends have shown us that microtransactions can be done right, but you know what? Those are free-to-play games, so it makes sense that they have that model. These games, though, cost $60 at launch. These were full-price retail games that as soon as they were out already had little hidden fees that were optional but pretty much garbage. So let's jump right in. Number 5. Dead Space 3 had a lot of problems. The first and second games were really scary. Space zombies was just not a fear we were used to. Seeing these shambling twisted bodies was genuinely creepy. In Dead Space 3 though, they decided to implement something new. The ability to buy guns with real money. People were pretty shocked the first time they got to one of the upgrade stations in Dead Space 3. Players could use scraps of metal or in-game money to make their weapons a lot stronger and now have a good fighting chance of surviving this terrible nightmare. Or you can just pay money. Yes, real money. The upgrade station might as well have just had a giant Visa logo on the side of it. The fear of survival horror games is how weak you are, how limited your resources are, and how strong the enemies are. But the fact that you can just buy a super cannon right out of the gate is completely game-breaking. It is completely possible to beat this game without using any of the real money transactions, but it really got annoying because every time you started running low on funds, it would pop up a giant text box that would offer if you wanted to visit the online store. This is one of those sad examples where a great franchise was completely murdered by its own greed, and they just didn't understand the magic that they had. Hopefully someday they reboot this terrifying series, because Dead Space at its core is still an amazing concept. Number 4. Forza 5 is an amazing racing sim. In fact, I think Forza is probably one of the best racing sim series of all time. Crafting a good racing simulator is extremely difficult. Making the perfect physics for tons of steel going hundreds of miles an hour through all these twists and turns is something that's really hard to balance, but Forza did it well. For some reason though, with Forza 5 they really kind of broke their own game and ended up pissing off a lot of fans. One thing that made the Forza games work so well was that you're constantly getting a faster and faster car, buying parts and winning new cars with every major event you go to. This was truly a brilliant design choice because it forced players to consider other vehicle options instead of just driving the same car all throughout the game. After testing out the cars you've won, most of the time you just end up selling it and using those funds to improve your current favorite car. Bizarrely enough though, in Forza 5 they removed the cars you won and instead just made it where it was possible to buy cars with actual money. This gave players an extremely tough option. Basically, if you wanted the next fastest car, you had to race the same races over and over again, looping the same tracks and getting that small prize money until you could afford your next upgrade. If you're somebody who doesn't have that kind of time though, you could just pay a few $100s and get every car in the game. When it first launched, people on NeoGAF forums calculated that it would cost you about $1,000 if you wanted to buy every car in the game with actual money. $1,000 of on-disc content. Let's really break down just what your basic cost would be if you wanted the best car in the game right after you bought it. At the time of Forza 5's launch, the Xbox One was $500. Then, of course, you bought your $60 copy of Forza. Now you just gotta buy that awesome car, which will cost you an additional $50. Congratulations, you have just spent $610 on a really fast car in a game that has less tracks than Forza 4. Thankfully, the developers learned their lesson, and following Forza games didn't really have this feature, but it still earns its place on the list. Number 3. Assassin's Creed Unity had a pretty controversial launch. I mean, we all remember those videos of people with invisible faces, right? Well, it also had microtransactions that were really poorly implemented. The Assassin's Creed series has always been really interesting because really, at its core, it's a game about games. You're playing through memories to save the world in a really meta style of storytelling, and what's the fastest way to break up a complex plot like this? Well, by reminding people every 5 seconds to sign up for the website, or for just $100 you can get all the best weapons and gear. In Unity, if you wanted to skip right to butchering everybody, you could just pay $100 to get every single treasure map, every little secret, and every single weapon completely given to you right at the very opening of the game. Now, this stuff, I guess, is almost forgivable. I mean, it really does make the game easier if you have a lot of money and not a lot of time, but what I can't forgive is the boost system. You could buy these new items that worked like an extra item class. These would dramatically improve one skill for a few minutes. These would do things like make your stealth so ridiculously perfect you were practically invisible, or make your melee so strong one punch would kill even the toughest people, all for an additional fee. What really annoyed me most about this though was that the game called them hacks, like you're putting in classic cheat codes, when that's not what this is at all. These are really poorly dealt out microtransactions. Part of the fun of really tough games like this is being able to save up for that new item and genuinely feeling stronger when you earn it, but the fact that I can just swipe a credit card and have all the best stuff really kind of ruins the experience. Number 2. Typing of the Dead Overkill really breaks the mold in a world filled with zombie games. Instead of just shooting zombies or chopping them up, you're using their worst enemy, vocabulary words. Each proper keystroke deals a blow against the undead marching towards you. Although the gameplay looks really strange, it's surprisingly fun. In fact, I used to play the original Dreamcast version for hours and mastered my typing skills in the late 90s. What could make this game any better, you might ask? Well, if you just spend $3 additional, you can replace all the silly words with dick jokes. You can buy the Filth DLC, which is an add-on pack that makes everything a dirty term, a strange way of saying sex, or even Polish swear words for some reason. I almost want to buy it just so I can write a review on Steam and be like, never did I think I would be typing the word clown pocket and referring to a vagina. Although this add-on pack is called DLC, it really doesn't feel like content at all, so I guess it's not really downloadable content, it's just another shitty microtransaction. Number 1. The Saboteur is an artsy GTA ripoff set in World War II and has us playing as an Irish freedom fighter. We are playing in France during the Nazi occupation, and the only way to free this area is by slowly taking over the city again street by street with parkour and a few bombs. It had a really interesting concept where every time you cleared an area in the game, it would go from black and white to color, symbolizing the health, culture, and life being breathed back into the people. What could you really do for DLC in a game like this? I mean, there's just so many options. Maybe you could kill Hitler, or maybe do some weird time traveling missions. Or you could just add in boobs. That's right, they went with boob DLC. If you pre-ordered this game, you got the ability to see topless dancers while in the clubs. If you didn't pre-order it, you could also buy it for an additional $3 fee. Now, I would like to point out that this is the internet. Boobs are everywhere. As far as pre-order bonuses go, it's pretty lame, but did they really think anybody would go out and buy this? The Library of Congress has said that they will accept any game's code to be stored for all time in case people of the future want to look back on past eras and see what their culture was like. Can you really imagine the future programmers are going to look back on this and go, wow, people in 2009 were paying real money for digital boobs. What a barbaric time. This was just such a poor attempt to squeeze more money out of gamers, and really it showed how little they knew of their audience. Thanks so much for watching, guys. This has been another Top Game List. If you enjoyed it, please share it with your friends and give it a thumbs up so more people see it. But if this is your first time watching, please subscribe for future videos. As always though, guys, keep dreaming. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, maybe check out my last video. Please subscribe, and if you want, share this somewhere with your friends.